no surprise that newsmakers try to manipulate the audience. They want you to believe that they are the one holding the line and they'll use any trick they can to get you there. But don't let them fool you. Get unspun. I'm Amanda Sturgill. I've been a reporter, and today I teach future reporters to cut the spin and think critically about what newsmakers say. My podcast, Unspun, shows you how to know when you're being manipulated by the news. Learn to spot the tricks and how to make up your own mind about what's true. So if you're tired of being fooled by the news, subscribe to Unspun today. Unspun, because you deserve the truth.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
MSW Media.
What if I told you a dapper sewing machine salesman once convinced a city he could summon the heavens, only to accidentally trigger a wall of water that killed dozens and left a trail of destruction worth millions? Today, we're talking about Charles Hatfield, the man who sued San Diego for a paycheck after nearly drowning the city. History is messy,
Weird, wild, anything but boring.
we're rainy day rabbit holes.
Exploring the unhinged side of history, politics, and culture.
Let's fall down the rabbit hole.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bomb. Welcome back to Rainy Day Rabbit Holes, History Unhinged, where we dive into the deep, into the weird, and the wild and wonderfully bizarre stories of history. Today, we're talking about a man who literally made it rain. Or did he?
Like right when Washington started prohibition.
Okay. Well, we're in California today.
Okay. So we're still got booze. That's good.
Did they never do prohibition?
No, it didn't start nationally until like 1920?
Oh, right.
But, Washington's progressive.
We are so progressive. So in January of 1916, San Diego is in the middle of a brutal drought, and a sewing machine salesman convinces the city council to pay him $10,000. That's about $280,000 today.
Jeez.
To fill the reservoir using a secret chemical formula that smells like rotting cheese. What could possibly go wrong?
My dog would love that.
Oh, yes. And now I'm picturing, while this is going on, all the dogs out in the air, sniffing the air.
Oh, it's delicious.
All the humans are like,
Oh,
this is
it's piquant.
disgusting. And the dogs are like, yes. Well, how about 20 people are dead after this story?
Wait, are we sure it's not just Tacoma? Sorry.
Maybe this is what happened to Tacoma. They were trying to make rain.
There you go. Like they need to make rain up here.
Yeah, right? There's no drought.
Paragraph.
Well, how about 20 dead people?
20 dead people.
An entire dam exploding. And the
Damn.
worst natural disaster to ever happen to San Diego.
Damn.
Buckle up, because today we're telling the absolutely insane story of Charles Hatfield, the Rainmaker. A man who either had the worst timing in history or the best timing in history when he destroyed a city with his ego. So let's start at the beginning, because Charles Mallory Hatfield didn't start out as some mystical weather wizard. He was born on July 15th, 1875 in Fort Scott, Kansas, which, if you've been there or seen it, is about as landlocked and unmagical as you can get. His family was pretty ordinary, farmers, working class folks, nothing special. But in 1886, when Charles was about 11 years old, the Hatfield family packed up and moved to Southern California, specifically to San Diego. Now, it's important because Southern California in the late 1800s was basically a desert. It's so weird to think of. That people were desperately trying to turn into a paradise. Water was everything. No water meant no crops, no growth, no future, The whole region was obsessed with irrigation, reservoirs, and rainfall. So young Charles grew up in a place where rain wasn't just weather, it was currency and survival.
It was life.
Life.
Yeah.
As he got older, Charles did what a lot of young men did back then. He got a job as a traveling salesman. Specifically, he sold sewing machines, door to door, town to town, lugging these heavy-ass machines around and trying to convince housewives that their lives would be infinitely better with a singer.
Was that, yeah, and that would have been like the ones that all of our grandmothers had, like the tabletop sewing
I
machine
still
with
have
the
one.
pedal.
My mom has it. She's like, I can give it to you if you want. It's got yeah.
Why do you
nice
want that?
wood. I don't have any place for it.
Sell it.
No, she has it. It came from her mom. It's
Well, when
not
she gives
going
it to
anywhere.
you, sell it.
I'm not taking it. It was honest work, but it wasn't exactly thrilling. Charles was smart, ambitious, and wanted more. He wanted to be somebody. And here's where the origin story gets kind of beautiful for its simplicity. According to the legend, and with Hatfield, everything is part legend, part truth, and part BS.
That's the Wild West for you.
Yep.
Well, no, we're in San Diego. It's the Wild West. Sure.
Wild West, and it's 19.
I was about to say the
1916.
wild
It's,
Midwest.
It's coming out of wild, but it's still wild. He got his big idea from watching his mother cook. He was sitting at the kitchen one day, watching steam rise from a pot on the stove, and started thinking. With evaporation, condensation, and the water cycle. Now, this was around the turn of the century, right? Science wasn't exploding. People were discovering new elements, new chemicals, and new possibilities. There was this sense that if you were smart enough and bold enough, you could bend nature to your will.
Oh, industrialization. Yeah.
Yep, this is the era, and he's part of it. Charles started reading everything he could get his hands on about meteorology, chemistry, and atmospheric science. He wasn't a scientist, though. He had no formal training. He was a sewing machine salesman with a high school education and a library card.
Hey, what's wrong with that?
Well, it just meant that he had all the information at his hands.
There you go.
He was
same.
Exactly.
Except for I don't have a high school education.
Oh.
I have an AA degree, I'll have you know. Remember, I didn't actually
in
get my high
State,
school diploma.
In Washington State, sometimes that's the same thing. You can get, my youngest daughter has one.
Same.
She graduated with her AA/diploma. But he was obsessed with rain. He started experimenting different chemicals and the combinations, trying to figure out if he could somehow attract moisture from the air and force it to condense into rain. It's a really brilliant thought. I mean, if we're going to invent something, that would be ultimately helpful. In 1902, after years of tinkering and testing, Hatfield claimed he'd cracked the code. He'd developed a secret formula using 23 chemicals. When evaporated into the atmosphere, would supposedly trigger rainfall. What were these chemicals?
Oh, this does not sound good. I'm a little bit worried about the environment right now.
Well, nobody knows what they were.
Oh,
so
okay.
It could be as bad or not that bad. We have
hydrogen, oxygen,
it's
carbon dioxide.
It stunk really bad. That's what we know.
Ooh, sulfur.
So he wasn't even just faking his chemicals. He actually used chemicals, but let's see if they worked. He never told anyone what his chemicals were. He went to his death without sharing his chemicals.
We cannot replicate
He
this.
took that formula to the grave. But people who got close to his evaporating towers said the fumes smelled absolutely horrific, like Limburger cheese mixed with rotten eggs and industrial waste.
Nice. Not anymore, people. Tacoma in the 70s.
Yeah. 80s even. I was there.
Okay.
I used to
Tacoma
try
in
to
the
hold my breath through Tacoma,
up to
which is impossible on I-5.
2000.
I tried every time. One reporter described it as the smell of Satan's armpit on a hot day.
Wow.
Lovely.
I want to know who that reporter was.
I
Give
know.
him a Pulitzer Prize.
Right. I was going to say, so well written. So Hatfield needed a place to test his theory, and conveniently, his father had a ranch in Bosnell, which is north of San Diego County.
Okay. Yeah, I never heard of it.
There was an old windmill tower on the property, and Charles figured that it was the perfect height to get his chemical vapors up into the atmosphere. So he and his younger brother Joel, who also became his assistant and partner after this, they built these shallow iron pans, filled them with this mystery chemical brew, and they set them up on top of the tower. Then they'd light fires underneath to evaporate the chemicals, sending the noxious fumes into the sky.
This sounds so environmentally
I
friendly
know,
and
right?
healthy.
Can you imagine? He would not make it one day around here now. And here's the thing. It worked. Or at least it rained. Whether the rain
Acid rain.
Whether the rain came from Hatfield's chemical experiment or because, weather happens.
Coinkydink.
That's the eternal question. But Hatfield didn't care about why. He cared about the results and he cared about filling his bank account. So
he's an entrepreneur.
Yep. So he was smart enough to know that the results were all that mattered in this and when it came to potential clients. In 1904, Hatfield started taking on official contracts. He'd approach farmers, ranchers, and small towns that were desperate for rain, and he'd offer them a deal. Pay me if it rains, don't if it doesn't. No rain, no fee. It was pretty brilliant business model, honestly, because he had nothing to lose and neither did they.
Okay. Is it raining in a specific area that seems to be of intent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like where he goes, rain comes.
Is it raining for enough to have any sort of impact on crops?
Yes.
Or is it? Okay.
He is very successful.
Okay. Because I was like, if it's like it rained for 10 minutes while I was there and then I walk away and there's no rain after that, but I walk away with my money, this just seems like a giant scam.
He's very successful. But why?
Okay.
Is up for debate.
Okay. We'll leave it there.
His first contracts were small. They were like $50.
Okay.
Which was really decent money back then, really. But quickly realized that he could charge way more because it worked. In 1906, he was charging $1,000 per rainfall. So from $50 to $1,000 in 2 years.
Wow.
$1,000.
1906?
Yeah, 1906. So that's real money.
Yeah.
And people were paying it because, again, if it kept rain falling, it made their crops work.
Yeah. People were desperate.
He'd roll into town, build his stinky chemical tower, and let it fume for days.
Yay.
And boom, rain would come. He racked up success after success, or at least that's what he claimed, and his reputation grew. He was known for making rain and bringing water to these crops.
Interesting. Why don't we use this technique today? Okay, keep going.
Well,
save
because
that
he
for
went
later.
to his grave with a chemical
That's
recipe. That's why. No, there's
no
more
one's
to the
been able
story.
to replicate it ever.
Now, were all of these successes legitimate? Probably not. Meteorologists and scientists at the time were extremely skeptical. They pointed,
So is Shea.
because she runs everything. They pointed
Did you say I
out
run everything?
ruin.
Oh, I thought you said I run everything.
You're ruining this scam. You're ruining the
sorry.
rainfall scam.
Sorry.
You would have been horrible to his business.
Or maybe I would have been saving people.
The environment.
And the environment.
Oh, who knows? We don't even know when it went up.
I don't know. All the industrial chemicals that were going to the air at that time,
fact
it was
that
probably
it was
like a
that-
drop in the bucket.
Right. That's true. Well, they were about to
I
get
mean, how
worse.
many times has like the different rivers in all these industrial areas been set on fire?
Fire, yeah.
You shouldn't be able to set a
Water
river
on fire.
Just saying. Something's real wrong. Okay, sorry. Anyways. Okay. So he was very successful. Word got out.
The meteorologists
We're like,
so
yeah,
all skeptical.
this is stinky.
They pointed out that Hatfield seemed to have an uncanny ability to show up right before rainy season.
He was actually just a really good meteorologist.
Right. Or to pick locations where rain was already likely.
He's like, here I am in Forks, Washington.
Right.
I predict rain.
Well, he would go to places that were desperate for rain.
Okay.
But I think his research, this is my take early on in the story, probably way too early. He did a lot of research into rain and meteorology and stuff. So I think he learned probably before others learned how to predict rain. And this is how he's successful.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I like his research gumption.
Right. He was really, really good at reading weather patterns, understanding atmospheric conditions, and timing his operations perfectly.
He was a really good meteorologist.
Before they
should have
were.
been on the news.
He should have just gone to the local news station.
Be like,
Oh, wait, it's 1916. There isn't one. Or is there? No, there's not one.
they had radio.
Yeah, radio. Basically, he was a master of probability and showmanship. But to desperate farmers and town councils who hired him, he was a miracle worker.
Yeah.
In 1915, Hatfield had completed 17 contracts. He'd worked in California, Texas, and even Alaska, and he was becoming famous or infamous, depending on who you are. He was written up in newspapers, featured in magazines. He was the Rainmaker, capital R. He was making bank.
Wait a minute. Is Alaska hurting for rain?
Apparently in 1915 or
I mean,
14 or 13.
they must have like a dry tundra area.
Yeah.
Well,
Doesn't
yeah.
get
A lot of rainfall.
So now we're in San Diego, 1915. And oh boy, San Diego has problems. The city was the middle of a serious drought. The Moreno Reservoir, which was one of the main water sources for the entire city, was only about 1/3 full. They're in full crisis. And to make matters worse, San Diego was hosting the Panama, California Exposition. So weird to me. Like, you've just settled yourself in the West, and now you're already having an exposition. It's a huge World Fair type event celebrating the opening of the Panama Canal. Thousands of visitors were coming to the city. The exposition had beautiful buildings, gardens, fountains with no water. They needed water for fountains while the reservoir was running dry. The irony was not lost on anyone. The city was desperate. They'd tried everything: water conservation measures, drilling new wells, praying, thoughts and prayers. Nothing worked. They needed rain, and they needed it fast. Enter Fred Binney. Binney was a local businessman and booster who'd heard Charles Hatfield's reputation. He'd heard about the rain. His thoughts? You know what? This is exactly the kind of outside of the box solution we need. So he started promoting Hatfield to the San Diego City Council, talking him up, vouching for his track record, and the council, desperate for and out of options, agreed to meet with Hatfield. On December 9th, 1915, Charles Hatfield walked into the San Diego City Council meeting and made his pitch. It was a hell of a pitch. He stood there, confident, and said, "Gentlemen, I can fill the Morena Reservoir. Give me 1 year and I'll fill it to overflowing.
Wow.
And all I ask in return is $10,000. If it rains, if I fill it, you pay me. If not, you don't."
That's only like $300,000.
Yeah. Now, $10,000 back then was a lot of money, but here's the thing. Hatfield's offer was contingent on success. No rain, no payment. The city had nothing to lose.
Okay, sure.
They were desperate, so they debated it. The meeting went on for several days, actually, and December 9th through December 13th, most of the council was in favor. Councilman Walter Moore summed up the prevailing attitude perfectly when he said, "It's heads, the city wins. Tails, Hatfield loses. Basically, it's a no-risk gamble, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, we're out nothing." But there was one dissenter, Councilman Herbert Fay. Fay stood up and he called the whole thing a rank foolishness.
He's me.
Yeah, he is. He's the skeptic to every good idea or outside the box idea. I should say. I should say good idea. He said we're all being ridiculous. Hatfield was a charlatan, and they were embarrassing themselves by even considering this.
Yeah.
But Fay was outvoted, and on December 13th, the council voted 4-1 to accept Hatfield's offer. Now, here's where things get legally interesting, and by interesting, I mean catastrophically stupid. They never signed a formal contract. There was no written agreement, no terms and conditions, no liability clause. It was just verbal agreement, handshake. I don't know if they used spit or not, or blood. And the council said, "Sure, fill the reservoir and we'll pay you $10,000." And Hatfield said, "Deal." And that's how it went.
They knew about that back then.
Right. We're a little late in the game.
They had lawyers in 1916. Jeez. No, they had contracts. Wait.
Well, they didn't need one in this case, although this detail becomes important later.
They did need one, is what I'm assuming.
So on January 1st, 1916, New Year's Day, Charles Hatfield and his brother Joel headed out to Lake Morena, which fed the Morena Reserve, and they brought their supplies: lumber, iron pans, and barrels of their secret chemical formula. And they got to work building their tower. It was about 20 feet tall, sturdy enough to hold the pans and withstand the wind. At the top, they set up their shallow iron pans and filled them with their special chemical brew, and they lit the fires beneath to let the evaporation begin.
Secret sauce.
The fumes started to rise to the sky, smelling like absolute death.
Birds started falling out of the sky.
And they asked for rain. Birds fell. No reports of anything like that. Like people didn't get cancer or wildlife dying. I didn't hear anything. I'm very curious about these chemicals. They smelled awful. Obviously, he wasn't faking it.
So there's obviously like some sulfur.
Right. He was
sulfuric
burning
compounds
something.
or something. Yeah.
But I'm not hearing like
if they were
that
saying
it
rotten
ruined-
eggs, there was sulfuric compounds.
they're
in
not
there.
saying like all the vegetation died around it, or these animals or birds fell from the sky. Nothing like that. I was really surprised because we don't know what these are.
If it says like if it's such noxious chemicals that's causing condensation, it seems like that would come back down in the rain and be like acid rain.
Exactly. Although he was so effective, it brought so much rain. I don't know if it might have washed away all the chemicals.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
More to the story.
Is it going to turn out at the end of the story that I was right all along? Okay, you can just keep going. You don't have to answer that.
January 5th, 1916. So we're 5 days into this adventure. Or 4 days, sorry, because it started on the 1st. And Hatfield started his operation. It began to rain. Just light drizzle at first. Nothing dramatic, but
A
it was
normal day
rain.
in Washington.
Yeah. Just your average day in Washington. And San Diego celebrated the rain, even though it was little. People were thrilled. The newspapers ran headlines. The Hatfield delivers. The Rainmaker strikes again. The city council members who'd voted for the deal were patting themselves on the back. Even Herbert Fay, the dissenter, had to admit he was wrong. But the rain didn't stop. January 6th, it's still raining. January 7th, it's raining even harder. January 8th, the 9th, and 10th, it just keeps getting harder. And it wasn't gentle anymore. Soaking rain. It was heavy, relentless, pounding rain, the kind of rain that turns streets into rivers and fields into lakes.
They wanted rain.
By January 10th, people were starting to get nervous. The celebration was turning into concern, and the ground was saturated. Creeks and rivers were swelling, and the rain just kept coming.
Wait, is that what happened recently?
I was just thinking about this.
Rainmaker.
If you keep going, I was like, oh my gosh, this just happened in Washington, like not too long ago, because it stops and picks up again. 2 atmospheric rivers. By mid-January, San Diego was experiencing serious flooding. Streets were impassable, homes were flooded, crops were drowning, and people started to panic. They started blaming Hatfield. There's actually a poem that appeared in a newspaper around this time, and it goes like this. Oh, Hatfield, Hatfield, can't you stop? We've had enough. Our fields will flop. The rain you promised, now a curse. Please make it better, not much worse. I was thinking about Cat in the Hat. It feels very Cat in the Hat-ish. Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss. It's very Dr. Seussish. Is that a word? I made it up. It's not exactly Shakespeare because it's Dr. Seuss, but you get the vibe. People were begging him to turn it off. But here's the problem. Hatfield couldn't turn it off. Even if the chemicals were actually causing the rain, which again is a big if, there was no off switch. You couldn't just pull it back. So the chemicals were already in the atmosphere and the process had started, and all you could do is just sit and watch. Then mercifully, there was a brief clearing. A few days in mid-January where the rain stopped and the sun came out. People breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe it was over. Maybe they'd dodged a bullet. The reservoir was full. Hatfield would get his money and everyone could move on with their lives. But then January 25th happened and it broke loose.
Oh no.
January 25th to the 27th of 1916 was the second wave of this catastrophe. What I'm imagining, because we didn't have real meteorologists like we do today, I'm imagining an atmospheric river like we just had. This wasn't just rain anymore. This was a biblical deluge. We're talking about rainfall so heavy that visibility dropped to almost zero. The kind of rain where you can't see your hand in front of your face, the kind of rain that sounds like a freight train on your roof. Rivers overflowed. The San Diego River, the Sweetwater River, the Otay River, all of them burst their banks. Entire neighborhoods were underwater. Bridges collapsed. Roads were washed away. And the dams were all under unbelievable pressure. January 27th, 1916 at 5:05 p.m., the lower Otay Dam, which was holding back the Otay Reservoir, failed. It didn't just leak. It didn't just crack. It completely fell apart. The dam broke and millions of gallons of water exploded out into a massive wall of destruction.
Jeez.
Witnesses described it as a 40-foot high wall of water churning with debris, trees, boulders, and wreckage. It roared down the Otay Valley and at terrifying speed, and the entire wave traveled through the valley in just 48 minutes. 48 minutes from dam break to ocean. That's how fast it went. The entire town was gone.
Wow.
Like just wiped out an entire town.
Moral of the story, don't live on the other side of a dam.
Right. For either direction. Either they don't give you enough water or you get flooded.
No, live on the reservoir side of the dam.
Yep. The death toll was devastating. Official records list somewhere between 20 and 22 people dead, but the real number is probably higher. At least 11 of the victims were Japanese farmers.
Oh, so we didn't count them.
Oh, I knew you'd love that part of the story.
Sorry.
I was like, I'm going to put this in just for Shea.
So I could say something snarky.
At least 11 of them were Japanese farmers who'd been working in the valley. Their bodies were found miles downstream. Some never recovered at all. Entire families were wiped out in minutes. And the destruction didn't stop there. By the time the rain finally stopped at the end of January, San Diego had received 30 inches of rain in a single month.
Wow.
30 inches.
Wow.
This is the wettest January in San Diego's recorded history.
Of all times.
Of all
that we
times.
recorded. Wow.
The
Nice
damage.
job, Hatfield.
Right. He really went over above and
Should have
beyond.
stuck with sewing machines.
Estimated $3.5 million in damages, which is about $100 million today. 112 bridges were destroyed. It's so crazy to me. In 1916, there were that many. I don't know. I'm just picturing we're still in the beginning there. The railroad was shut down for 32 days. Can you imagine? Because that's where you get all your supplies.
Mm-hmm.
The city was completely cut off from the rest of the country, and they had to bring in supplies from naval ships because there was no other way to get them. It was definitely the worst natural disaster in San Diego's history. Or was it natural? Because did Hatfield create it? That's not natural.
You know, I was just thinking too, Jody, like, I'm just thinking, like, you brought the story of the Iron Goat Trail. You really love to bring these disaster stories, don't you?
I know. Actually, yeah, I'm thinking about the ones in the bank. Oh, no. I'm a disaster finder. What is history without disaster, Shea?
Loves a disaster.
I bring disaster stories. You bring the quirky and weird. Okay. Now, where is Charles Hatfield during this time? It's flooding. His work is destroying the city. He and Joel were still up at the Lake Morena, tending to their tower, watching the rain, and probably
Like high-fiving each other.
High-fiving? Yeah, or are they scared? Like,
Well, they started out high-fiving
yeah.
each other, and then they're like, oh, God, somebody's going to blame us for this.
And then there was some clinching going on in the downstairs.
Oh, the scam has gone too far.
On January 30th, Hatfield got a phone call that made things very, very real. A woman named Maggie Swinson called him, and she was furious, hysterical even, and she told him with no uncertain terms there was a lynch mob forming, and they were coming for him. And people were headed to the tower. Dude, you are flooding us. You need to fix this.
Wow. That's not going to help.
They wanted him dead. They blamed him for everything.
Were they still doing their thing?
Yeah, they were still going at it with their chemicals
Like a month
and burning.
later?
Yes.
Why?
Well, and especially after
It's been pouring down. Well,
the effects are what you've already gotten.
Well,
the
also,
results.
wait, I'm just thinking even logistics. They've got this big iron pan on top of a tower with a fire under it full of chemicals. Shouldn't have been all flooded out at this point?
Apparently not where they were, because they end up packing up their stuff and they have to walk to flee the area. They can't. There's no roads anymore, so they can't take any form of transportation other than walking. So Hatfield and Joel did the only sensible thing. They got out of town.
Yeah.
They dismantled their tower as quickly as they could, but not till the end of the month. Although, thinking about it, 25th and through the 27th is the height of the rain. So, I mean, they're really, I don't know why they kept going after the first part, but they did.
Yeah.
They couldn't take a car or a train because the roads were rails were destroyed. So they walked 60 miles from Lake Morena back to San Diego through devastation that they'd allegedly caused. And can you imagine that walk? Like, you're flooded. Like, are you wading through this? I'm picturing them with all their stuff. How does this work? Like, how do you
I don't know.
take
This
all
doesn't make
this
sense.
equipment? So they walked by bridges that had been flooded out, flooded homes, wreckage everywhere, and knowing everyone blamed you. Can you imagine that trek back? But here's the thing about Charles Hatfield. The man had balls of steel because when he got back to San Diego, he didn't hide and he didn't apologize. He didn't sink away in shame. No. He held a press conference and demanded his $10,000.
It's like you asked for rain. Gave you rain.
I did my job. He said in front of reporters, he said, I fulfilled my contract. The reservoir is full. In fact, it's overflowing. I did exactly what I promised. The city owes me $10,000. His take was, you knew this was coming. You did not prepare for the water in the amount that it came. And so this is on you, not me.
Yeah, you didn't give me a limit as to how much rain.
Right. You said fill it. I told you I could fill it and overfill it. And now you're mad. So he said, you owe me $10,000. The city, understandably, was like, no. The city attorney, a guy named Terrence Cosgrove, basically laughed in Hatfield's face and said, absolutely not. We're not paying you a dime. And his reasoning was very clear from a legal standpoint. Cosgrove said, if we pay you, that means you're admitting that you caused this rain that caused the floods, and millions of dollars in lawsuits from victims and their families are headed this way.
Yep.
So here's the deal. We'll pay you your $10,000 if you accept legal responsibility for the damage and agree to pay all the claims for the city.
Whoa. Nope.
Of course, $3.5 million is what they determined to be the damage to the city. And he was like, I don't got $3.5 million, especially back in 1916. No. So in February of 1916, Hatfield tried to renegotiate. He held another press conference and said, okay, look, I'll lower the fee. Just give me $4,000. That's reasonable, right? But the city still refused, saying they weren't budging. The political and legal situation was too complicated. Paying Hatfield would open them up to massive liability, and they weren't willing to take on that risk.
Yeah, because the city had hired him.
Right. So Hatfield did what any red-blooded American would do, even at that time in the country. He sued. He filed a lawsuit against the city of San Diego.
I thought you said he was going to put a pipe bomb in.
No, not quite that
red-blooded.
Yeah, no pipe bomb. Just a lawsuit. The case dragged on for years, literally years. It became this long, complicated battle about whether a verbal contract was binding, whether Hatfield had actually caused the rain, and whether the city was liable for any payment. Finally, in 1938, 22 years after the flood, the case was resolved. 22 years of a court case. This guy never gave up for his payment. The court ruled that the flooding was an act of God.
Okay.
Not an act of Hatfield, not an act of chemistry, but an act of God. Basically, the court said that was just the weather and Hatfield didn't cause it, and so he doesn't get paid. But he's also not responsible for the damages, so the city had to pay for them.
Can we ask why God decided that flooding San Diego was a good idea?
There was a lot of gay people.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know. Maybe there was too many Mexicans. There was too many brown people. I don't know, Shea.
Why do they always call it an act of God instead of just an act of nature?
Nature.
Because then you're like, why did God do this terrible thing?
That's the stuff I cannot get past.
No.
I can't get to be a believer. I can't.
Thanks, God.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
For these horrific, unnecessary things that happened to me.
Thanks for killing all those people.
Yeah.
For reasons?
Yeah. Give me any good reason. I can't.
Reasons?
There's none. So Hatfield lost. And after everything, the work, the danger, the years of legal battles, he never got a single cent from San Diego. And here's the crazy thing. His career didn't end there.
Oh, boy.
Despite the San Diego disaster, or maybe because of it, Hatfield remained famous. He continued to take rainmaking contracts for years. In 1929, 13 years later, he was even hired to help fight a massive fire in Honduras.
Oh, wow.
Get on a boat and go even. By creating rain to put it out. Whether it worked or not is, as always, debatable. But people kept hiring him. However, the Great Depression hit everyone hard, including rainmakers. By 1930s, nobody had money to pay for a rainmaker. They could barely afford food, so Hatfield had to go back to his old job selling sewing machines, which I imagine also was not, there was no spare money around. The one I got is good enough. I'm going to hand sew at this point because I got no money.
And wasn't the Great Depression preceded by the Great Dust Bowl? Like they could have really used him.
Yes, actually, you're right. His sewing machines, not useful.
That was part of
useful. You're right. So for Hatfield, his personal life also fell apart. In 1931, his wife, Mabel, divorced him without all that rain money coming on.
Yep.
She's out. She claimed he'd been hiding earnings from her, squirreling away money from his rainmaking contracts. For why, though? I don't know. Whether that was true or not, it was a bitter divorce, so we don't know. But it's clear that by the 1930s, Hatfield's glory days were over. He lived the rest of his life relatively obscure. He never remarried, never regained his fame, and never got the recognition or payment that he felt he deserved. On January 12th, 1958, Charles Mallory Hatfield died at the age of 82. He died quietly, mostly forgotten, in a small town in California. And he took his secret formula with him. Those 23 chemicals, nobody knows what they are. He never wrote them down. He never told anyone, and he never left any record. I wonder if his brother even knew. Whatever was in those iron pans, whatever created those Limburger cheese smells, died with him. So what's the truth? Did Charles Hatfield really make it rain? Or was it just a very clever con man with good timing and flair for showmanship? What do you think?
Well, I think that scientists would have been able to replicate this reliably.
Yeah. I think in reading this and doing the research, I feel like he actually believed he was making rain. I don't think he was a con man.
Yeah, I think he did, but he just was a really good meteorologist.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he just really thought he was doing this.
Yeah.
I think he was delusional. I don't think it was as much of a con man as delusional. Both.
Yeah, I could see that. I could give him a little bit of grace in that.
Yeah.
In that he was really good at reading weather patterns and unconsciously was like channeled that into like, well, here's where I'm going to go next.
He's probably like, okay, well, over here is my best opportunity to get this to work, my chemicals to work, because I see this coming, and let's go there.
Or maybe it really did work. And what modern scientists have discovered is that it was incredibly terrible.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah.
Like these.
Well, here's what meteorologists and scientists have pretty much settled on. The consensus is that Hatfield was extremely good at reading weather patterns. He understood atmospheric conditions, seasonal trends, and regional climate. He knew when rains were likely, and he timed his operations accordingly. His secret formula probably did nothing except for smell terrible and create impressive-looking fumes that made people think something scientific was happening.
Sure.
But here's the thing. We don't know for sure. We don't know what those chemicals were. We don't know if there was any legitimate science behind his method, and we can't deny that it rained a lot after he set up his towers. So correlation does not equal causation. Nope. And this is a real problem for me as somebody who studied these things or taken classes on, in my master's programs about reading research and what it means. And people definitely cannot get over the causation and correlation issue. It's just, I saw that. It happened. It's real. It's 100%. And that's not how that works. It's how we get ivermectin as a cure for COVID.
Yes, it's how somebody in a recent conversation was saying that they have a friend who's had 2 family members die after they got the COVID vaccine. So obviously the COVID vaccine is the causation.
They died at 98, and it was definitely those things.
Mm-hmm.
What we do know is that Charles Hatfield was a fascinating character. He was ambitious, confident, and willing to take risks. He saw an opportunity in people's desperation, and he seized it. Whether he was a genius, a charlatan, or somewhere in between, he left his mark on history. His story, even inspired by Hollywood. In 1956, a film called The Rainmaker, starring Burt Lancaster, was released. It's a fictional version, obviously lots of creative freedoms, but it's clearly based on Hatfield's life and legend. Lancaster plays a charismatic con man who rolls into a drought-stricken town promising rain. It's a great movie if you really want to check it out. And San Diego, well, they eventually rebuilt, obviously. The bridges were replaced, the communities recovered, and the city grew into a major metropolis as it is today. Morena Reservoir is still there, still providing water, and every January when the rain comes, every January, like it did that year.
Right.
I wonder if anyone remembers Charles Hatfield and thinks, maybe we shouldn't have stiffed him on that 10 grand. Maybe we should have paid him. No one probably thinks that.
No one
because
thinks that.
Here's my take. Even if Hatfield was a fraud, even if his chemicals did nothing, the man had vision. He saw a problem, proposed a solution, and delivered results, even if those results were catastrophically over-delivered. He was a product of his time, an era when anything seemed possible, and when science and showmanship blurred together, and when desperate people were willing to believe in miracles. And that's why I think that this is something that he really thought he was making rain. Mm-hmm. It's the beginning of really scientific method coming out in ways where other people are recognizing it. Mm-hmm. Non-scientists are recognizing it. It's a time where everyone's being very innovative in America and coming up with these big ideas that in another time would appear to be magic. Dumb dreams. Like, what are you doing? Let's stick to reality here. But in this moment, they're going, hey, big dreams, shoot for the stars. And so I think he really did get wrapped up in that and bought into it. But so that's the story of Charles Hatfield, a rainmaker, a sewing machine salesman who convinced a city to pay him a fortune to make it rain, and then accidentally, or not so accidentally, caused the worst natural disaster in the city's history and never got paid for it. Can't make this up.
No.
So special thanks to Letha at Easy Burzy for our beautiful new website. That's easy, EASY, BRZY.com, easyburzy.com. And Logan Hine for the awesome social media marketing and wicked awesome videos. Logan is a social media and video manager helping brands, creators, and businesses build consistent, engaging, and online presence. From content strategy and scheduling to editing and community engagement, he delivers streamlined digital support that drives growth across platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and more. You can find him at Logan at redemptionindustries.com. This is our great social media team, Letha and Logan.
Yes,
helping
it has
us out.
been working. Our YouTube is definitely getting a lot more views than it used
crazy.
to. So,
yeah. Love it.
So it's
we are
working.
so
Thank
thankful
you.
for these people.
Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. We appreciate your continued support.
I mean, how else would we get $69
$69 a month? I know. We are rich and famous.
Only through Patreon.
And yes, we are trying to double down on our YouTube. So if you are somebody who likes to consume your content on YouTube, check our YouTube out. Sometimes we do shorter content on YouTube, so you don't have to listen to as much of our blathering. Yes.
It's engaging content.
It is engaging content, but they are putting fun little videos to our
Yes, they are.
Content
It
out there.
adds to
So
it, for
is
sure.
helpful. Or just at least say hi on our YouTube comments. Yes, we like to see
We like
that.
to respond.
We love to. So it's a good way for us to interact. So check out our YouTube, our Instagram. We're on all the social medias except for one evil one, which will remain unnamed.
It's between W and Y.
Mm-hmm, exactly. But we are on all the others, and you can reach out to us on any of those. We really do like Instagram and Blue Sky, personally. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time, and
See you down the rabbit hole.
MSW Media. If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Hi, I'm Frances Callier.
And I'm Angela V. Shelton.
And we're Frangela.
You know what you need in your life? The Final Word podcast.
Yes, you do.
That's right. It is the final word on all things political and pop cultural.
Where we make real news real funny.
Where we inspire you so you can hashtag resist.
Subscribe and get a new episode of the Final Word podcast each week. It's the news we think you need to hear.
That's right. We think you need to hear it. Okay?
Yeah, it's what we say so.
That's right. And because all we do is give, every Thursday you can listen to our hysterical podcast, Idiot of the Week.
We round up the stupid because you know what? Somebody has to.
Okay. All we do is give.